Hello and welcome to another edition of Mundy's Workbench. This week we went to the ICR in Martinsville at Lee Farms, and that was an amazing property, new property. Saturday was good conditions, and then Sunday it rained on us a little bit, turned into another mudder. Imagine that. ICR and their crew, they did the best they could and managed to make a passable track. But anyway, we survived and managed not to tear anything up. Garrett ran in the AM race in the open C class. Got stuck early on second lap. Helped dig him out, me and Aaron Fisher. And anyway, he ended up fourth for the day. I think he ended up seventh overall. So I ran the PM race. I ran Vet A this time, change it up a little bit. And then I ended up fourth. I think 6 guys were in my row when I started. But I did 3 laps, and that was all I wanted of that. So anyway, Garrett washed his bike up, and he told me that during the race he felt like his brakes on the front were going away. This bike has about 6 races on it, so of course every time we clean it up we inspect the brakes. But this time, of course, the mud really does its damage to the brake pads, so we're going to take apart the brake pad on the front and replace them with some new ones. We've been using the Neutron brake pads. Rocky Mountain ATV, they've had these on clearance for like 5 years. They're $9.99, I think. Really, really cool. They're sinister metal, so they work out really well. So we go through so many brake pads, and those seem to work well for us. So check those out, $9.99. On the Kawasaki, what I do is I go ahead and, before I take the caliper off, I unloosen the brake pin so that I'm not fighting it when it's off the bike. And then I take the caliper off. This makes it easier. On the rear of the bike, you can actually leave the caliper on, but what I do up front is just go ahead and take the caliper off. Makes it easier to get to the brake pad. This is a good time too to also inspect your rotor. There is a wear limit, and it's usually on the caliper written to where you can take your micrometer and check to make sure you haven't got it too thin. These are still in good shape, so I'm not concerned about that. If you get to where you're putting on your brake pads and you still have inadequate braking, check your caliper. It might be worn out. Yeah, it might be too thin. So what I do is, since I've got these old brake pads and I'm going to be throwing them away, I use, get something in there. That way I can pry these open, the caliper pistons open. I do this very lightly so that I don't, force too much fluid back up to the top of the reservoir. And then I just kind of easy spread that apart, so when I put the new pads on there, of course they're going to be thicker and require more room in the caliper. So I'm pushing the caliper or the pistons back into their little spot there. So I've already got the pin loose, and I'm going to pull that out. Now there's a clip in there, and you want to take note of that. I do these enough that I remember, but if you haven't done this before, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and take a picture of which way that clip is in there, because once it falls out like it did, you're not going to remember how that thing went in there. It's going to cause you some trouble. And also, if you force it in there incorrectly, then your brake pads aren't going to have enough tension to hold themselves in the correct place. Okay, so go ahead and clean this out a little bit. It gets a lot of junk in there, a lot of stuff. We're off-road racers. These don't have to be perfectly clean. We do the best we can, but we ride these things every weekends, so they're not going to be show bikes. Okay, so got my pads lined up, and don't forget the actual clip. It lays in there like I said, creates tension in there. So these line up. So I got them all lined up. Grab my pen. I've got it wiped off good. Pen back in there. Just hand tied it for now. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put it back over onto the fork. There's a torque spec on this. And that's 17 foot-pound. I put that one at 16 foot-pound. Okay, I also have to tighten up my pin. We're going to put that at 12 foot-pound. Maybe 13. Okay, got the new pad on there. Now, before you get the bike off and take off with it, you need to pump up the front brake here. So I can feel it. Oh, we're back. Brand new. Okay. New brake pads on. So anyway, I appreciate everyone tuning in. I ran into a lot of people this weekend, and they once again tell me they enjoy my videos. This is just one of the ways you can do this. There's many other ways, but this is the way I do it, pulling the caliper off the front. Seems to work the best for us. This weekend we're going to Crossroads in Staunton. It's the MX Park. And I probably won't be racing. I've got to go to the Thunder in Louisville for the state police, so won't be there. We'll be there probably to watch Garrett race, and then after that I'll have to take off. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, and show us your tips.